What do you do with kids? Like, let's say that you have several kids.
I have four.
You have, okay, so you have four kids.
Exact.
And let's say that one of them is a slacker, and it's not a situation where you can just sort of cut them and fire them. The kid's stuck with, you got to do what you got to do. How do you determine where to put your resources, given that one kid very often it requires more attention than another kid in this sort of area?
The thing with raising kids is, and again, I used to shy away from talking about this because I used to say, you know what, my kids, the results aren't in yet, right? And I don't know where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, is your kid successful? Well, what does that actually mean? Because my kid could go and make a ton of money, but have a horrible family life and be miserable, right? And be a jerk, right? Is that success? No. Or they could be very happy but have no money and be living day to day, and so that's not successful either. But my kids are a little bit older now, and I can see this trajectory that they are on, and quite frankly, I'm pretty happy with the way my kids have turned out. It's a hard thing to look at because you can't fully control it. And so what are you going to do with your kids? I like to, you got to give them guidance, right? But you also have to let them brush up against the guardrails of failure. A simple example that I would say, and I probably have taken some flack for this, is I say, if you're helping your kids, you're hurting your kids. And what I mean by that, something as simple as tying your shoe, right? If you help your kid when they're whatever age, 2 years old, 3 years old, if you help them tie their shoe, you're actually taking away an opportunity for them to develop their fine motor skills. That's really happening at that moment. So if you do that, if you cook them every meal, if you don't let them, get their cereal bowl out, and guess what? They're going to spill milk sometimes, and they're going to knock over the cereal. And at the same time, they're developing skills that are going to help them fend for themselves in the world. So what you have to do is you have to let them brush up against the guardrails of failure from time to time. Now, where it becomes challenging as a parent, and thank God I haven't faced anything like this, sometimes your kids will take turns that will ruin their life, right? That will ruin their life. And, obviously, I'm not going to let one of my kids ruin their lives. That being said, if people take a really hard turn and do things that are completely against the parameters that you believe in, and you continue to support them, they're going to continue to take advantage of you. And so I've seen that happen with parents where kids go down the wrong direction. Like I said, I can't even imagine the catch-22 that you get in that situation where, if your kid becomes a drug addict and you want nothing more than to help them, but every time you give them the support that you think is going to help them, you're actually just enabling them. And so again, I'm no expert. What I try and do is put a box around the kids, let them develop, let them grow, and put the guardrails out there. Let them know when they disappoint you. But the other part of this is, and this is another hard thing for people to understand, it was definitely hard for me to understand, your kids aren't going to be who you want them to be. They're going to be who they are. And in my opinion, the more you force them to try and be what it is you want them to be, the harder the pushback is going to be, and you can end up with some really horrible situations.